Hey, what's up everybody? So I thought I'd make this a separate video because I feel like this service seems to be overlooked most of the times. Uh, how I know is, I work at the dealership, so you always recommend it, but they always decline it. We always get some once in a while we get a customer complain about rears are binding when they're turning or the rears are hopping, stuff like that. I guarantee you they've never replaced the rear diff fluid. So I thought I'd show you how to do it and show you how simple it is. You just need a little pump to put fluid in there or any kind of ways to fill it up. But yeah, so if your rear end starts binding on a turn on your Honda all-wheel drive system, yeah, it's probably time to change the fluid. So, like for instance, this one, I guarantee you those plugs have never been removed because here's the here's the drain. You can see the corrosions. It's like it's part of that drain plug now, and then that fill plug doesn't seem like it's ever been removed because just looking at the washer. All right, so I got them both cracked loose. Yeah, I don't think this has ever been changed. So I'm just gonna let that drain. It doesn't take much fluid. I think it just takes like 1.1 liters or something. So it's, yeah. All right, so it's done draining. I'm just gonna go ahead and change these crush washers. They're actually both the same plugs. So no magnets on these ones. So yeah, if anytime you have a CRV or any kind of Honda with like a something binding in the back and you've never changed the fluid, maybe it's time. You know what I mean? So yeah, whenever it starts doing that, just yeah, drain it, fill it, go for a test drive, and then after a little bit, come back, drain it again, fill it up with new stuff. Usually by like the third drain and fill, it stops doing it. So yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use my transfer pump and fill it up. It should take about like 1.1 liters. It doesn't take much, as you can see in the pan. It's not very much. All right, so yeah, now it's finally kind of dripping out. I'm just gonna close it off and pull it out. Let the excess drain out and then close it up. So I just want to mention, these rear diffs are really reliable as long as you change the fluid, because these rear diff really relies on that fluid. I don't know if you can see, but there's no electronic components or anything. So yeah, it really relies on that fluid to engage that rear diff. All right. So yeah, that's the fluid. That's the amount of fluid came out. Not much. It doesn't take much. So it doesn't cost an arm and a leg to just change the fluid. But if you've never changed it before and you're having problems where you're turning and it's binding and the rear wheels are hopping, that fluid should, you should try changing the fluid first before somebody recommends you to replace that rear diff, because fluid is cheaper than a rear diff, and I find it like after you flush it a few times, it'll stop doing it. All right, and so the last thing I'm going to do is brake fluid, because my friend said the pedal feels kind of weird. So I don't know when's the last time I changed the brake fluid, but it could just be because brake fluid is hydroscopic; it absorbs water. Brake fluid has a higher boiling point than water, so what happens when you boil water, right? It becomes steam, and it's basically air in your brake system. So I'm just gonna try and bleed the air or bleed the brakes and change the fluid and see if it helps. I did take it for a test drive. I didn't feel any different, but kind of a different story when you're actually driving long for a long period of time and under a bunch of braking, because your brakes get hot, brake fluid starts heating up, and you get maybe an air pocket in the brake lines because there's moisture or water in your brake fluid. Yeah, and also make sure you don't get brake fluid on your paint because it'll ruin your paint. So let me just turn this on. A little noisy, but yeah, check out the old stuff. Pretty good. Fill up with new stuff. And so what I do when I'm sucking brake fluid out of the bleeders, I just take the brake fluid bottle and flip it upside down. Oh, you can definitely see the difference between like the new fluid and the old fluid already. So yeah, flip it upside down. It's not going to overfill because it only reaches up to that part where the top of the bottle is, I guess, and yeah, and it stops there. So I'm just gonna suck it out of the bleeders. I've already cracked all the bleeders all around, so I know they're not seized or anything. So yeah. One thing, when I service customers' vehicles at the dealership, I always lube up these door checks because when they're really dry, they're kind of hard to open and slide. So what I do is I grab myself some silicone grease, right? Put a little dab of it on the door check. Just give it a, just smear it around just so they, top side and bottom side, because I think there are rollers on the top and bottom, because there are notches on the bottom as well. All right, so brake fluid is done. I think that's all I can do for today. Other than it does need tires. I think they're almost 10 years old and they're dry rotted, as you can see. All right, and that TPMS light, I did scan it. The TPMS light is for three out of the four sensors have no signal, and one of them has low battery, so it's definitely going to need new sensors. So once I get new tires, I'll get the new sensors and I'll put them on. I did check all the brakes, if you're all wondering, because I have the wheels off. The brakes are still good. It's still got plenty of material left, front and rear. So I was hoping I can do the rears because a lot of times these things get stuck, and yeah, you can't get it because the little clips on the back of the pads, they go into the piston. And yeah, you can't get those calipers off. So I was gonna show a way to get those off, but maybe next time. Put these caps back on. So yeah, anyways, if you like the video, please hit that thumbs up, and yeah, see you next time.